So, there's this brand new policy called Trump Accounts, and it's got people asking a really big question. Is this going to be a real head start for every kid in America, or could it actually make the gap between the rich and poor even wider? That's what we're going to dig into.
Okay, so picture this. What if every single baby born in America started life with $1,000? Not in cash, but sitting in an investment account waiting for them. That, right there, is the basic idea behind all of this.
All right, so first up, what's the point of all this? Well, the stated goal is pretty simple. Give kids a bit of a financial head start right from day one.
So here are the nuts and bolts. The program kicks off on July 5th, and basically, any baby born between 2025 and 2028 gets $1,000 from the government, straight into an investment account. The catch? They can't touch it until they turn 18. But, that first grand from the government, that's really just the beginning. The whole idea is that other people can chip in too. We're talking parents, employers, nonprofits, philanthropists, you name it. We've already seen some big names get behind this, like Michael Dell and Ray Dalio. And get this, companies like JP Morgan are even saying they'll match that government grant for their employees' kids.
And this quote from a White House spokesperson really sums up their whole argument. They're saying, look, wealthy people have always been able to do this stuff, but now, thanks to this program, every other parent can too. They're framing it as a game changer that's going to level the playing field for everyone. Okay, so that's the sunny side of the story. But, and this is a big but, what if a program that's designed to help actually ends up hurting? This is where the whole debate around inequality really heats up. So to really get this, let's play out a couple of what-if scenarios. First, let's think about a lower-income family. For them, just finding extra cash to put into an account like this might be impossible. So let's assume their kid's account just has that initial $1,000 from the government, and that's it.
Okay, so you let that $1,000 sit there and grow for 18 years. With a pretty standard market return, it might turn into something like $4,000. And hey, $4,000 is not nothing. It's a decent little nest egg for a young person just starting out.
Right. But now, let's switch gears. What about a family that can afford to contribute more? A lot more.
So if a wealthier family is able to max out their contributions every single year, that account could be worth over $150,000 by the time their kid turns 18. And that's the whole issue right there. You see the gap? We're talking about $4,000 versus $150,000 plus. That is a massive, massive difference.
And this is exactly what critics are worried about. Someone like David Radcliffe from the New School, he looks at this and says, this isn't just about two different kids. He argues this could actually make the entire wealth gap in America wider and deeper. And he specifically points to the racial wealth gap, which is already a huge issue. So, if the design of Trump accounts might be a problem, is there a different way to do this? Well, to understand the criticism better, it helps to look at an alternative idea that's out there. It's called baby bonds. Now, baby bonds are kind of a different beast. They're also investment accounts for kids, right? But the key difference is they are aimed specifically at lower-income children. The whole point is to give them a serious chunk of change when they become adults, money they can use for big things, like a down payment on a house or starting a business. And you can see the difference right away in the numbers. Take Connecticut, for example. They actually have a baby bonds program up and running. There, an eligible kid starts with $3,200. That's over 3 times what a child gets in a Trump account from the get-go. But it's not just about the starting cash. The real debate is in the fine print, the actual design of these programs. And believe me, the little details can lead to some really big differences.
Yeah, when you put them side by side, it's like night and day. For Trump accounts, families have to opt in. They have to sign up. For baby bonds, it's automatic. Trump accounts are fueled mostly by private money, right? Baby bonds are publicly funded. One's managed privately, the other by the state. So you've got two totally different philosophies here. One is a one-size-fits-all approach that depends on private action, and the other is a targeted, government-driven safety net.
And let's just zero in on that opt-in thing for a second. Critics argue that whenever you make people sign up for a program, it tends to be regressive. What does that mean? Well, it means the people who benefit most are often the ones who need it least. Wealthier folks tend to have financial advisors or just more bandwidth to track this stuff. Meanwhile, a struggling family might miss the deadline, not because they don't care, but because they're busy, just trying to make ends meet. So, all of this brings us right back to the beginning. We're looking at two very different potential outcomes here, two visions for what this could all mean.
On one side, you have the promise, right? The idea of a universal tool that empowers all families to save for their kids' futures. But on the other side, you have the peril,
the fear that this system, because of how it's built, will just become another tool for the wealthy, making that wealth gap even bigger than it already is.
Which really leaves us with one big question to chew on. When we're trying to design policies that create more equality, is the idea itself enough? Is the intention all that matters, or is the design everything?